Sorry. Is that cool?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So here's what I thought about doing. Um, I thought about, like when you start doing the Twitch thing, it it gives people notifications. Now, I don't have that many people that follow me anyway, but I thought about putting on um, what was it? Uh, Something like gifts in your location. So, like, I think officially, like, GIF means like grand person, like grandfather,
Oh,
grandmother. But I was
right,
thinking
right.
more
Like geeks.
like geeks, yeah,
Geeks I'd
geeks
like
or
to.
gamers or whatever, yeah, to be
Yeah.
friends.
That's what I thought of when you said it.
Oh yeah, yeah. Because like
To be friends. To be friends.
back in the day, you would get on a website, like a questionable website, and you would have these little pop-ups that would say "milfs in your area" or what, whatever. So it'd be
Yeah,
you'd get
look,
this
that
thing.
happens even when you're not on a questionable website. You can
That's
be on a
true.
perfectly normal website.
I wouldn't
Yeah.
know about that. I wouldn't know about being on normal websites. Just assume it was
You're
only
only
on the
ever on questionable
yeah.
ones.
If I'm on a website, it's not up and up.
Yeah, just like your video games now are all dating sims,
Hey,
apparently.
hey, we weren't going to talk about that.
You don't want to talk about it? You don't want to talk about potion, whatever it is?
Um, I
Potion
don't want to
erotica?
talk about me erotica. That's funny. Um,
I can't remember what it's called.
I don't
Potionomics.
have the chat thing up. So, do you have the chat thing up? You're going to have to help me
I.
with that because I don't.
You don't
Unfortunately,
chat?
maybe I'll try to. Where is it
It's
at?
up. I got
Okay,
it.
cool. Okay,
Yeah,
as long as you get it and you can read them to me
I
because
can read
I
them.
have it.
I can read. I can read.
It'll. I
Believe it or not.
can't. Especially if you're following me reading what they're saying on the screen of pushing erotica. Um, yeah, I'm not very good at sight reading. I try and I need to
It's all
use
right.
like different
Not all of
voices
us are
because
good at it.
everybody sounds the same.
Right. Oh, so you like read? So when you're streaming it, you're doing all the you're reading out the stuff that it's saying.
Sort of, yeah. I'm trying to.
Yeah.
I'm like
Yeah.
muttering through it, and I'm trying to do the different voices. I'm not
That's
very
really
good.
cool. Oh my gosh, I want to hear you doing all the different voices.
I'm
You
not
got
doing any
talked
different
about in our
voices.
got talked about in our Discord the other day because
Oh shit.
yeah, just no, just a little bit because we were talking about there's an Australian board game design competition, and I was like, oh, I wonder if we could put Corrupt City forward or not because only one of us is Australian, and then Jace was like, well, how well can Mo do an Australian accent? And I was like, it's worse than you can imagine.
That's messed up, man. I can do a good Australian accent.
mm, mm.
I always think, okay, so I think on those competitions and stuff, it's unfair. Hey, I see you got your finger in the hole.
Yeah, I don't even need to use the handle because of this thing. It's really cool.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
I love it. That's
You
awesome.
got your own, like, mobile glory hole.
See? I knew it. I knew it
That's
wouldn't be
not
long till we
about
said something
boobs. That's not
gross.
about
Okay, it's not
boobs.
about
And that's not
boobs,
great.
but now
You
you said
started
boobs.
with this,
Now
like,
you said
potion
it.
erotica thing.
Okay, fair enough. I did. That's true.
Yeah. I
You're right.
didn't do anything except for talk about gilfs.
What were you? Oh my god! Yes, you did start it, and it's always right at the start too.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Anyway,
Anyway,
what were you saying before I distracted you with the magic mug?
what was I saying? I don't know. It wasn't important. I don't think. I don't remember. What was it?
I don't know, but I did want to talk to you about. I
Oh,
know we've
wait,
had
wait,
this
wait,
conversation.
wait.
Oh,
Before you go, okay,
okay.
so I remember
Finish
what it
the
is.
thing.
Okay,
Okay.
it's. I think it's unfair to enter a competition if you've already been published, unless the competition is against other published people. So, like, it's unfair, even though, I mean, maybe self-publishing doesn't matter. I don't know. Like, when they have
Mm,
competitions sometimes, and I'm always thinking, it's kind of unfair, and I kind of feel like I have an advantage because
mm.
I know
'Cause you've been
publishers and
through the
stuff.
process, and
Yeah, and like, I don't know. I mean, although I'm my own worst enemy, I'm like most of the time trying to fail. So
well,
there is
yeah. I
that.
mean, yeah,
Trying to fail, like
you
I'm
don't
trying to
even
do
want
a
to be in the
horrible game.
competition. Give
Yeah.
it like what are the excuses I can give to not enter this competition?
Well, no, it's like, okay, so if I entered a competition, I would try to do the stupidest or the thing that's the most off-putting thing. I mean, I would still try to make a good game, but the theme just to make shit on the competition, I would just make like some fucked up theme.
Yeah,
Like it would be a perfect time to
something
make that.
shocking.
Well, I don't know about shocking about the villagers that are trying to sacrifice their daughters for
Yeah,
the autumnal or the
right.
solstice.
Yeah,
Yeah, see, that's
yeah.
like perfect. That's probably what I would do.
Like, why
With
is
the,
he doing this?
yeah, or that
Why
one
is he
about
doing this to us? We don't want to play this depressing theme.
yeah. Well, I mean, why not? Because it's more of a statement about what we find interesting or what we don't. You know, like I don't know. I really hate typical themes, so it's just a way to kind of show that you can think outside of the box. But I don't know
Yeah,
about that cereal theme I talked to you about the other day. The grains, Thoreau idea of doing a
yeah.
sim with through the eyes of a grain.
I didn't
That
like that idea at all.
I
I
I
like out of the box thinking, but that's just I don't want to be a grain viewing the world.
okay. So on that, I know you got stuff to say.
Tell me.
I'm just
No,
talking.
no, no.
Okay, so my first other game that I did after coming back to design and stuff was about plants. Okay, so it's hard to sell it. It's hard to sell the idea of I've got a plant game, but I mean
Yeah.
plants fight each other. Plants also dominate each other. Plants work together. Plants do all these things. It's just on a different scale, and it just seems so boring. Like if you think
Yeah,
about
no,
like
no. I think there can be lots of like there are obviously a lot of interesting things that plants do. 100%, right?
get
But
it's his own
I don't know
sandwich.
whether farming a piece of grain that's farmed that's going to be put in a row that's going to be put in the ground that's not going to do a whole lot of cool stuff. Like there's like the whole black walnut thing, you know what that does, right? It
No,
like
tell me.
taps into like the fungal network and it sends toxins to competing trees and it
Oh
like
yeah, yeah, yeah,
kills
yeah,
them off.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so like
There's
that's
some
cool.
badass stuff, but grains aren't doing any of that.
Okay, so like if you imagine like on somebody's front lawn, there's
Yeah,
usually a war going on with these different types of grass that are
yeah,
trying to dominate the like you have the guy who owns it is probably trying to plant some kind of specific type of grass. Then you have
yeah.
these other types of like weeds and grass that are trying to take up the nutrients and trying to and the guy's trying to get the bad grass out of there. I see
A
this shit
weed
all the
game
time.
would be great. A weed game. You know what I mean?
Come on,
Game about.
Cheech.
No, don't make me laugh. I sound like I'm going to die.
I'm not.
Um, yeah, continue.
No, no. So the first game I did was that Conflict of Plants, and I couldn't sell it. I couldn't get people interested in it unless they really like science and shit, you know. And then I
Yeah.
sort of kind of did it. So we had this guy, and he was supposed to be in the board game group, and he was an admin at the time. I should probably talk about that dude someday. That's bad press. Anyway, so that dude was supposed to be good at theme and stuff, right? So I tell him, look, man, I've got this game about plants. I'm not very good at theme. At least I thought so at the time. And then I was like, dude, can you help me? You know, if you do something good, I'll. What is that? Oh, that's your fan,
What?
isn't it?
That's my.
Oh, no, 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 no. I heard like sound. I thought it was like metal music playing in the background. I was like, that's pretty cool. Anyway, so I tried to get the guy to do it, and I told him I'd pay him for his time if he did something decent. I put that in there if he did something decent because I was gonna
Right.
judge it, and I said just give me the basics of the idea and don't give me anything else, so you can't accuse me of stealing it or whatever. And he's like, the plants are from this other. They're plant people, and they're from another planet. And he had this whole fucking fantasy idea. I was like, nah, dude,
Say the
nothing.
Triffids or something.
Yeah, I was like, I could have done that. That's not interesting, you know. That's like
Yeah.
everybody else, like some fucking alien planet species crap.
Right. It's either aliens or it's robots or it's like a fantasy area control or something. I thought
Yeah.
like a plant area control sounds kind of cool.
Well, we haven't played it
But
yet.
then, yeah, we haven't played it yet. Why haven't
You
we
know,
played
like
it yet?
I don't know. We need to play it. So like when I think about it, the dude would have, like, let's say we went with his idea, we made alien plants. They would
Yeah.
essentially be an alien plant, and then we'd have to go diversity. So it'd be a woman, and they're an alien plant woman, even though we can't. So the alien plant woman with boobs. There, see, I did it.
Right. There we
Boobs.
go.
Alien plant with huge, big,
Plant boobs.
uh, yeah, plant boobs.
Now
Fruit.
you've reminded me of Dark Souls with the tree with that you have to hit in the testicles.
I thought you were going to be reminded of uh, your
What?
original logo that had the big
Oh my god.
eyeballs.
No, 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 the original one. All right, now
Yeah.
I have to tell this story.
All
This
right.
is like
So let's
way off
hear it.
topic now. Okay.
You're keeping an eye on the chat, right? Because I can't.
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
I am. There's nothing
Nobody
happening.
cares.
So no one there. Nobody's
Yeah.
there.
Cool. Let's hear about your
Yeah.
boobs.
So my tabletop sauce logo, I gave this person some money to do a logo, and I gave them a photo of what I looked like. And there's kind of those like standard logos you see like the gamers get, streamers get, and stuff like that. They're kind of like a stylized, caricature of them.
Hmm.
And so that's kind of what I was going for. And like that's all this person does. They do the same kind of style, or like, caricature thing. And so
Hmm.
I was like, yeah, I just want something like that. That'll do. I sent them the photo, and then it came back and it was a man. I'm like, it was just like a standard white dude with dark hair. And I'm like,
Uh-huh.
did you look at my photo at all? Or like, I'm not a man. And yeah. And then, yeah, like you said, so you spoiled it, but the next iteration had really giant boobs. And then, of course, there was the hot sauce thing. Like, it was meant to be, I was meant to be pouring like a hot sauce on a board game because it's tabletop sauce.
Hmm.
And I was like, hot sauce. Has to be hot sauce, like a small bottle. And then it just was like this giant, I was just holding this giant ketchup, pouring ketchup everywhere. I'm like, no, I don't even like ketchup. This is ruined. And then the third logo, my boobs are like merged into one. They'd become so huge.
Mono boob.
Just like mono boob, yeah. It was
Three is
very
better than
strange.
one. Yeah.
Three is, yeah.
Okay. Like
Split them
side
into,
note, do you
okay.
remember the three boob woman?
No.
Okay, we can go back to that. Go ahead. Okay, go ahead.
No, that's it. And I never ended up with a logo because I was like, well, this is a massive fail. Yeah. I should tell
So,
Elizabeth Hargrave that story. I think she would feel sorry for me. She posted something. I sent you what she posted this week about Dominion. She played Dominion, I think, for the first time.
did you
And
send that to me?
I sent you a picture because I copied her tweet, and it was like the only women from Dominion were in a harem, the
Oh yeah,
harem
yeah, that
card.
one. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I never even noticed. I just never even noticed it. But it made me laugh because it made me think, back then it was just like what, 2013 or something. It
Yeah.
wasn't that long ago, but back then it was like,
They're completely
no,
acceptable. Yeah, this is
completely
the way it is.
acceptable. And not only that, but it just made me think, why didn't guy gamers want women to? You'd think they'd be like, oh, we've got to get women into games, and then like put women in games to make them like come play games. But
Can
it was like
can you
they
put
didn't.
women into games without having them talk though? That's what
Oh
they're thinking.
my god, you are the worst.
I'm joking. If you don't know that's a joke, you're not paying
No,
attention.
I know, I know. I just
No, I'm just
stop.
making sure that that's out there so I don't get canceled like immediately from saying that. It's like
It's a joke.
quoted.
It's a joke. It's a
Mo
joke.
Mo said women don't need to talk in games.
All right, what was that three boob thing? I knew it. I knew we were going to talk about boobs.
Okay, yeah. Did you put it? Did you tweet that about the
Yes, I
boobs?
did.
Okay, well then
Yes,
we're
we're
on
golden.
brand.
We're
We're on
golden.
brand. Okay, so during the time of Maxim, do you remember a magazine called Maxim? It was an American magazine.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Yeah, okay. So it was like a guy's magazine. It's like the Joe Rogan of magazines, kind of. Yeah, like working out, beef,
Yeah,
chicks, like hot chicks,
yeah,
like just that stuff, right? So
yeah.
this during that time,
Masculinity,
yeah,
toxic
total like
masculinity magazine.
yeah, like really, like you would pick up the magazine and like you would go into like a roid rage automatically. It was hardcore. So there was this woman. She wasn't in the magazine that I know of, but I'm just saying I know the time period is maximum time period.
Right.
there was this woman who claimed that she did a plastic surgery for 3 boobs. It was like the
Right.
infancy of Twitter, and so there was
Wait,
all
she
these.
did this on purpose. She
This is what she
purposefully did
said.
this.
She
Right.
said that
Okay.
she got an implant and she wanted 3 boobs. It was fake,
Right.
but like there was news people and all that shit that believed that she had 3 boobs. So she would go around and they had these pictures and she had like 3 boobs, and it was like
Right.
what was that movie? Total Recall, where that 3 boob
Right.
woman.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and so like people believed it and stuff. Of course, it was a hoax and shit, but that
Yeah.
was that was going around.
She catfished the media to
Yeah,
believing
yeah,
she had
yeah.
3 boobs.
Kind of like that what is it? The butt plug chest thing.
Oh my
Butt
god, that
plug
was so
chest.
funny. That was so funny.
Yeah, butt plug chest. Anyway, so I think we were going to talk about something completely different earlier. You had something.
Yeah, I wanted to. You know what I wanted to talk about?
Butt plugs and chest. Yes.
No, it was actually we had a really good conversation about the rating thing and realized there must be like some kind of cultural difference. And I
Okay, so
really wanted to talk about that because it
we
was
have to give
the background.
well, yeah, we have to talk about Space Biff and that
Yeah.
he was okay. So I'll talk about that for a second, and then we can continue. Spielworks before before Essen, the he did his little. It's a online convention. He started it during COVID, and so now he's doing it every year. So one of his interviews was with Space Biff. So they were talking, and Space Biff had a lot of interesting things to say. It's on YouTube. So just find Uli and Spielworks, and you can find him talking to Dan Thoreau about these really interesting topics. Anyway, so one of them was, and I never realized this, he was talking about the American system of grading and how the number system screwed up because Americans just basically use 3 numbers, basically. I mean, it would be A, B, and C. It's like 90, 80, or 70. If it's below that, it's basically failing. So every number is the same to us. Or it's 100, which is perfect. And some of us Americans, like me, don't accept 100 as a valid score for a game unless that's the die all be all. Which is,
Yeah. Like in your view, 10 is like absolutely perfect.
yeah, it's like if an angel came down from heaven and kissed me on the forehead and played a game. Something like that. I don't know. Okay, so if this is a lot of ifs, if diplomacy played 4 people, was that good, and could be done in 2 hours, it would be a 10. And it's none of those, so it's like a 9
It's
and a
none
half.
of those things.
Yeah,
Right.
it's 9.5. Anyway, so
And
there. Go ahead.
yeah. And I just found that really interesting because BGG is an American site. It's huge, like in terms of like the board game thing. Everyone's using it, and like people who rate. Well, not everyone rates games, but you know the rating system is out of 10. You have 10 numbers. Why not use all of the numbers? That's sort of my view. I use all of the numbers. You know, in BGG, it even tells you
Yeah, that's a
that
weird
every
thing.
number has a meaning. It like tells you. You don't even have to think. It's like here's what 1 means. It means this. It means you wouldn't play this if your life depended on it.
Oh, and what Lyndon, like, it drives him nuts when somebody says, like, they'll put in their comments, like it's something they copy and paste, and they say, "This is my system for these numbers."
Oh,
It's like,
really? That
yeah,
drives him crazy.
yeah, it drives them crazy. They'll say, like,
Why?
"I rate games this way." They're basically taking somebody else's system and screwing their numbers up because they're going to rate it their own way and screw BGG's numbers up and not follow BGG standards. If they followed BGG standards, the numbers could be a better representation of somebody's likes and maybe a better representation for all of us to see what a game really should be rated.
Right. We all got to follow the same thing. Well, that's pretty funny because I ended up like on my website, I kind of took a similar thing. Like I had 1 to 10, but I changed it slightly. I did exactly what Lyndon wouldn't like. But I didn't put that on BGG, so it's
Right,
fine.
right. It's not. It's fine because it's on your own. But the fact that if it was on
Except it's
BGG,
not fine because I put the same ratings that I put on the website as my ratings on BGG.
oh, so what? So you made
So
your own version of the ratings and you copied those same ratings, even though they mean something completely different on another website. That's how you end up with one boob on a fucking thing.
to clarify, I just changed the wording, but they pretty much were the same. Same, like grading. It was very similar. I just changed the wording to make it a little bit more interesting. That's all. So I think it's fine. Anyway, but when you told me this, I had like a light bulb moment because I've rated some things 6. Like I rated Outer Rim 6, which to be honest, I actually think that's pretty high for that game. Like if I played it now, I'd probably rate it
Tell me
lower.
what you really think.
But but I got slammed for rating it 6 from like, the diehards.
Uh huh.
And they were like calling me a noob and all this stuff. And I'm like, 6 is good. What's wrong with a 6? It's better than mediocre. It's
I like
good.
how you try to justify it. 6 is good. 6 is
6 is
really good.
good. I didn't
It's
say
like,
really good. It's good. It's only good. It's above
yeah,
average. It's
it's
above
freaking
average.
failing. You dropped out of college.
It's
You're
not a fail.
screwed
60% is not a fail.
in
50%
America.
is not a fail. You
What?
guys just have a really weird. You guys are like, you have 10 numbers and you only want to use 3 of them.
The other numbers are for show. It's for your neighbors to see and shit.
I just find it so funny.
It
It's
is
really
weird.
intriguing to me.
It is.
Yeah.
It is really weird when you think about it, and that we're so accustomed to an A like a 9 game should be stellar. Like a
Yeah.
9 and an 8 should be
A
like
9,
freaking amazing, and
9 and yeah.
8 is average. You're like, 8's pretty good. I'll play it anytime somebody wants it. I'll buy the game. I'll own it. I might even say I want to play it a few times. You're like, dude, you're crazy. It's a fucking 8. Like
Yeah.
7 in America is like, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's all right.
What about those people that are rating things like 7.25?
Yeah, I don't
Where
know
do,
what the
where do
fuck's
they
wrong with
get
them.
off? Like, that's crazy.
It is absolutely fucking nuts. Um, okay, so because I'm a gamer, I was thinking about that number system a long time ago when I was younger, and I was like, you could put hidden messages within ratings. Like you give, let's say a game has dice in it, right? So if a game has dice in it, you put it like zero point zero 0.01. So anytime you have a game, it could be 7.01. It's like, oh, it's a
Right.
7, but it has dice, right? So let's say if you
Right.
gave a game 2 for being, I don't know, 2 rand or whatever a number 2 is, right? So let's say 0.02 is for this other thing. So if the game is 10.03, it has both of those things. It's got dice and it
Right.
also that other thing. So you put in these little hidden things just so you know what a game might have in the
Right.
in the point zero zero somethings.
I actually like how logical this is, but I think there should be negatives. Like randomness could be negative, whatever, and then you've got positives. And then you don't even have to think about the rating. You can just put it in this spreadsheet or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and it'll calculate it and go, yeah, this game's a 6.72.
That's pretty good, I guess. Well,
Yeah.
what we need to do is write this down, copy and paste it in BGG when we rate it on this system instead of our own and piss Lyndon off even more. Because
Yes.
he knows the people doing it. That's worth it. That's worth all the time in
Totally
the world.
worth it.
Yeah,
Yeah. I'll make it happen.
that would
All
work.
right. Well, this might be funny. This might not be funny. So the other day, this is like it was in the middle of the night, and I had an idea, and it was these could suck so bad because I was half asleep. But I had all these questions, and I wanted to do because when I interviewed you on Board Game BBQ, I asked you all the standard ask questions that you ask a designer for the first time. And then we had a conversation on the phone not long
And I
ago. And
shit
you
on
were
you.
like,
I
you
shit on
did
you.
shit on me. You were like,
I'm
God, isn't
sorry.
it the worst? Isn't it just the worst when you get
And I wasn't even
interviewed?
talking about you. I was
And
just thinking about how horrible interviews are. And then you're like, I did all those things. And I was like,
like,
oh.
and they
I,
ask you your background and what we first played. And I'm like, yeah, that does suck. That's exactly what I did with you on the podcast. Thank
You
you for
know,
bringing it up.
okay, before you go to this, I have a history of this. I seriously have a history of this. I'm working doing T-shirts and stuff, and doing graphic design, and this lady comes in, and oh, actually, like three or four parents come in, and they're bitching and moaning about uh, like the person that's the head of like the PTA meeting or something like that, and they're bitching and moaning. Like three of them are like saying how much they suck, how much she sucks, and all this other stuff about how bad this woman is. Okay, they leave. This
Yeah.
woman comes, and I didn't know it was that woman. And I'm just making small talk, and
Mm.
she's talking about how difficult it was at the meeting. And I go, man, everybody's been coming in here saying that that fucking lady is the worst, and how much they suck.
Oh my god.
And
That
then
is
and
so
then she
funny.
goes, "Who said it?" And then I go, "What?" And I go, "Just some ladies."
So then you had that realization, like the
Yeah. And
light
then I
bulb, where
go,
you're like,
"Are you?" And then I say the name, and she says, "Yeah." And then from there, we were just dead awkward silence. I went and
oh
got her
wow.
stuff and took her money, and she was pissed and upset at the same
Oh
time.
no.
Yeah.
You
That's not the only time. I've done it a lot.
should
I
have just
just
been like,
start
I didn't
bitching.
say it. I didn't say it.
You suck, lady.
Yeah,
Anyway, okay. So, sorry
it
for
was pretty funny.
derailing. I'm always derailing stuff too.
No, it was fine. So this is like my questions,
Uh
and
oh.
they might be more or less controversial. I really don't know. I can't remember any of these questions because
Uh
it was
oh.
in the middle of the night. This could be awful.
Controversial.
Okay,
I'm pretty
ready?
bad. Cancel.
You're gonna get cancelled. Okay,
Cancel.
these are fill in the blank questions. Okay,
Oh, okay,
I'm just
cool.
gonna
I can just
start
fill
you
it
off,
in.
and you
I can
just
just
fill in
fill
the
it in. I can
just
just
fill it
fill in
in.
the blank. Cool.
Okay, ready? Board game publishers are what? Blank. In other words, what do
Necessary?
you unnecessary?
No, necessary.
Oh, necessary. Okay.
Necessary. Necessary, not unnecessary. Because, like, and I'll explain that I believe in gatekeepers. Sorry. Cancel. That's what's controversial. I don't think
Controversial.
I don't think everybody should. I don't think
Self-publish
everybody's
something?
idea
Is
is
that what you're saying?
great. I don't
Yeah.
think everybody's idea is great. And sure, you can put it out there and try to sell it. It used to be easier to sell it, but like you sell your idea on, um, the like Game Found or Kickstarter or whatever. There's nobody sitting there judging your work as is this worth
No,
publishing.
but only
Like
the consumers are. The consumers are.
they haven't
But
played
isn't
it
that
yet.
okay? But isn't that a good place for it? Isn't that a good place for independent people that might have a kind of crappy game because then it's just gonna be consumers. If they want it, they can give it a go. If not, they
Okay,
can gatekeep. It's like they can gatekeep themselves, right?
they didn't get to touch the product. Like
No, but different projects have different levels of insight into what the project looks like. Like some will even allow you to play test it, or they might have streams of the
okay,
game,
so
or they
on
might.
a side note, this is a really good question. Okay, on a side note,
Yes,
right now, I
I'm doing
can
better.
I can be um, on an album.
Mm,
There are musicians that are not like metal musicians or death metal musicians that I'm into and stuff. I could pay them to
mm,
be my band, my backing
yeah,
band. I
yeah.
can I can come up
Because
with
they're not doing anything else,
yeah, they're not doing
right?
anything else. It's not too bad. I pay them to play the music that I want.
They're just desperate to get paid to make music. They'll just do it for anybody.
Not for anybody, but I mean, it's not that hard. I can like, okay, so let's say I'm a wanting to be a musician. I write all my own music. I come up with some cash because I got a job. I go and pay these musicians to be the backing members of my band, and then I publish the music, and then I say, so and so is my drummer, so and so is my guitarist, so and so is my whatever. Okay, people buy that on the strength of that.
Mm,
Not on the idea that we sat around writing this music and they back it. No, they got paid up
yeah,
front.
yeah.
This is not their music. And if they knew the reason for me doing it, they might not allow it to get released if it was going to damage their reputation. But at the same time, they wanted a paycheck. So during
Mm-hmm.
COVID and you couldn't like tour and stuff, a lot of people were desperate. So if I want to make a board game, I can make a shitty game and pay someone to do the art if I've got the money, and I can pay for the people to say you should back this game. That's
Mm-hmm.
not the same as somebody who says, "Let me try your game out and see if it's worth making copies of your game." I am for that gatekeeping thing just for the
Yeah.
safety of the consumer.
I like the analogy of the music industry as well. It
Oh,
just
do you?
it we do, but we do miss out. I'm sure we do miss out as well on a lot
Yeah,
of.
yeah, yeah. There are projects that should, based on a dream, should get made and are pretty good, but the amount of bad projects is higher,
Mm,
I would say.
mm,
This is another thing that actually I talked about this with Brian today. Okay, so there's this guy in Lubbock who has a lot of money. He paid for he's on the symphony board, or he's something having to do with the symphony. So the symphony brought in some uh, actor or something to come in and do something. I don't know, like I'm giving you all the information, but
something, something, something.
something,
Orchestra.
something, something. The guy paid for his private jet to go to Lubbock. He basically paid for the guy to fly to Lubbock so that he could sing with the orchestra during Christmas for some kind of show.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm not talking about
It's
the
a little
actor that was
extravagant.
brought. The guy
No.
that paid for the ticket only
Yeah.
did it so that he could sing. Okay, the
Right.
other part of it is
Mm,
he has a demo tape. This
right.
guy that paid for the flight. Okay, this rich
The
dude
rich
has a
guy.
demo tape. Yeah, he has a
Right.
rich of playing with the Philharmonic
Right.
or some shit like that. And he
Uh-huh.
paid for that. He basically paid for a session for them to play, and he recorded it. And of course, they'll play with you if you pay them money. They'll play with
Yeah.
you. They didn't invite him. He paid to have a demo recorded, and he
Yeah.
freaking that's his demo. He says, "Oh, I played with the Philharmonic. Here's my demo."
Yeah.
Or like, yeah,
Right.
I'm that good, and he's not that good.
He's not that
He
good. He
just
just paid.
he just
He,
paid. It's like those
he's just having a
honorary
lot of fun with
degrees.
his money.
Yeah, it's like those honorary degrees. If I've
Yeah.
got an honorary degree, it doesn't count to me.
No.
So I'm not saying Kickstarter is the honorary degree of getting published. I'm saying that if you don't vet who you want to back, you could back something based on somebody's dream that really needed a little bit more development. It would be
Right.
great if there was a sanctioned body outside of Kickstarter and outside of publishing that would go through and maybe put their seal of approval that this is a good game that's been properly developed. Whether you like it or not, that's different, but it works. It's not a bad game.
I think consumers are getting more discerning with that sort of thing, though. Like, they'll actually look. This is some
Yeah,
consumers.
yeah, yeah.
They might look at it and go, "Oh, it doesn't look as well developed as it should." Blah blah blah. Others are maybe not quite as fussy, and they're just like, "Oh, look, it's a plant game, and she's got boobs
Yeah, I'm down.
from space, so I want it."
Well, that's also the bad thing is that because people like okay, so what I remember back in the day when Kickstarter first came up, okay, between me and my friends, can you imagine this? I was the first guy who started backing shit on Kickstarter.
I can believe that.
I was an early adopter,
You're
and
an
I would
early
tell,
adopter. You're an
yeah,
early adopter, early leaver.
I'm in and out. So the idea was these people have dreams. Let's make their dreams happen. And then it's like at some point I was like, I don't know if these dreams are so good. And then it is what it is today. So now we're back to the dreams aren't happening as much.
Right, you've got the
We
dream crushes.
Yeah, now how much of the artwork is done, how much stuff have you backed before. Now the gatekeeping is not really the gatekeeping is about will you produce a product. Like, will it ship? You know, are you one of those Kickstarter projects that keeps my money and never delivers? You know,
Yeah.
which is sad when you think of like Madeira, because that's a legitimate company and they really want to get that made, and
Yeah.
it's not getting sent, and all the problems with the project and shit. So anyway,
That's really sad too, because then it sort of spoils just the game in general for people. And
yeah,
it's not got anything to do with the designer of the game or anything like that. And
yeah.
yeah, that's really sad. Okay. Well, that went well.
Well, there's still a lot more. I could talk about that all day. But anyway, go on.
All right. Okay, the first game I designed sucked/was awesome. And why?
It sucked. It
It
completely
sucked.
sucked. It
Why?
sucked back because I don't know what the fuck I was doing. I thought I told you this. I might not have. I might.
Is
I
this
think
the
I have.
plant one? Is this the
No, no,
plant?
no. A very,
Keeping in mind that these questions are for all designers that come on the
yeah,
podcast, too.
yeah,
They're
yeah,
not just for you. So
yeah.
you might
That's
have told me the answers to some of these, but you're gonna.
yeah. No, no, I might have told you the answer to this, but it's kind of it's sweet and stupid at the same time. I was a naive kid. Um. Okay, so um, in school we had a media center, and whenever you were in eighth grade, you got to get out of your regular classes. You got actually electives, and one of my electives was the media center, and I was technically proficient, so they put me in the media center, and I could work on cameras and shit like that. So the people who ran the electives weren't necessarily teachers; they were substitutes. So they didn't have their full degrees, and they didn't have real classes. So they had real people problems. At that time, there were more real problems than a teacher's problems, because at that time, I'm not that old, but I was old enough to be that a teacher made enough money that they considered themselves to have an okay job. Okay, now it would be like a lot less. They make the same, but inflation's gone up. Anyway,
Yeah.
so at the time it was considered okay money. And anyway, so I'm working at the media center with not a teacher, with a substitute, and her family has something happens, and her family gets into problems. I have her for the last period of the day. She hears some news. Her husband also works at the school, and they have like three kids. And she finds out some news. I don't remember what the news was, and she starts crying in class. Well, it's not class, in the media center. So
Right.
she starts crying about, she just like how much life really sucks. And so I felt really bad. And me and her were really, really close. We would talk every day, and she was just not a teacher, a cool supervisor. I don't know what you would call it. Anyway, so that night I went home, and I was really into playing games with the family, I guess. And so I designed a game thinking I could design a game, sell the game, and give her the money when we sold it, and she would be out of problems. And I'm just a dumbass,
I do
like
remember
kid,
the
like
story. So
yeah.
cute.
So I designed a game. It was basically some stupid thing on a checkerboard. It was an abstract, and I just like dreamer. I've got a really good idea. We could figure out how to sell the idea, and then we'll get you out of this problem or whatever. And
Oh,
she thought
so
it was
sweet.
cute, and just she didn't have the heart to tell me the world doesn't work that way, kid. You should be old enough to know this.
How old were you, by the way?
I don't remember eighth grade. I don't remember. I was
Eighth
probably
grade. So
okay.
like
So
12 something?
probably like
Yeah.
12, something like that. Okay,
13.
so I had a hard life, so I would say that I was more adult in a lot of ways that other people were, but not in
Yeah.
this way. In this
No, in
way,
that
I was
way.
still a child.
Yeah. That's really
And
sweet.
my overwhelming want to help blinded me to thinking about, how does this really
The
work?
reality.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is not the way
Was
it
that a
works.
moment, but was that a, like, this is going to be really sad, but was that the moment you were like, oh, right, I see.
No, I didn't
Like, this is
see.
how the world really works. Okay.
She
No,
did.
because
She
I'd say
didn't
you're
tell
still
me.
kind of like that now. No, you're
She
not like
didn't
that
tell
now.
me. She didn't
She
tell
didn't
me
tell
that.
you?
She didn't
What
say.
did she
She
do?
said,
She was just like, oh, yeah, this is going to be the next Monopoly. We're fine.
no, no, no.
Thank
No.
you.
She said, that is really sweet, and you're awesome for trying to do that, but you should really try to sell this yourself and see how far you can go with it, and do these things for you. but it was really nice of you to offer. And then that was it. And then, forgot about the game and continued on.
Yeah. Oh, that's really sad. That's really sad, but really sweet.
It's pretty naive.
All right.
How wait, before you go on, how am I still that way? You still think the world works in some special way, or do I think the world works in a horrible way? What way do I think the world works? I'm
No,
interested in
I think no. I think you just have moments of that. Moments of I think you're really good at coming up with ideas on business things. Oh, you could do this, and you're good at that. You're really good at that, I think. You've got a bit of an entrepreneurial
a little bit
streak. Yeah.
Yeah. Too bad that I've used it for bad, selling drugs and shit.
Well, let's talk about that. Let's probe into that. No, okay. I didn't have that on my list. The next question was, still got a lot to get through. The next question is...
We don't have to get through them all. We just get through a few of them.
Yes, we do.
Okay, sorry.
No, we don't. We don't, but this is going much better than that first interview, babe.
Yeah,
it's
way better to find out who you're talking to, and the answers aren't really all that important. To get somebody to talk is the most important thing, and have a real connection.
A real conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Real connection with that person.
I agree.
Okay.
I was too scared to have that connection with you last time. I was like, this guy's scary. All right. Catan is blank.
Amazing.
Okay, I don't even want to go into that.
Yeah, no, we should.
Next.
Okay, so
Next.
I think it's popular to hate on it. I think that it's extremely popular to basically make it like Monopoly for snobs. Is to say,
no way.
I don't like Catan. I'm better than Catan, or Catan's a horrible game. They just shit on it, and I'm like, how much better are you than Catan? You think you're so good? Screw you. Catan's amazing. I don't know. It just seems like this thing that people, they just go on this rant about how horrible of a game Catan is. And I'm like, I think it doesn't deserve that kind of hate. There's so much worse games that are made that people play. You can just say, I don't like the game. Move on. Like Monopoly. If you don't like Monopoly, I don't like Monopoly. It's not really for me. Whatever. And move on.
That's true.
But people just bash it like it proves there's somebody. Like, you are not anybody for disliking something. You are somebody for liking things. If you want to connect on this dislike thing, that's a short road. How much time before you dislike something and the other person likes it? It's not very far. It's just going to be just a moment's walk away.
But babe, we connect so much on things we don't like. What are you talking about? It's got us pretty far.
But we like that.
Point proven. Mic drop.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, it's true, isn't it? It's true.
You
can meet the love of your life from disliking things and talking about it. It's so true. No, but you do have a point.
Shed a tear for that.
You do have a point, and I know I've picked on Catan, but that's only because you like it. I just want to make that clear.
I know.
It's not to be cool.
I'm not saying you're a hipster for that. You might be hipsters for other reasons, but not for that.
Turmeric lattes is a different story.
Turmeric. Did you take your turmeric today? I hope you took your turmeric today.
I haven't. I still have. Oh, shit. I need to take my turmeric. Listen to me. Does it sound like I've been taking my turmeric?
Obviously not. You need to fucking make some fat turmeric lines and snort those sons of bitches.
Oh my god, you're killing me.
Anyway, what game do you have in the background? That's what everybody wants to know. You got some games.
That's Scrap. That's Scrap.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, nice. I was playing it with Zoltan. So yeah,
what does he think?
That one. He likes it.
I'm kind of worried. Is it not too heavy for him? Because it's pretty.
It is heavy. A little bit. It's a little bit. We basically just did a demo. We played a couple of rounds, and then that's it. And then he's like, "Yeah, I do want to play it," because I didn't want to scare him away. I didn't want to make him sit through the whole thing. I thought we'll just play a few rounds. He can get the feel of it. Mm-hmm. And he was actually excited by it, and he wants to get into the battling thing. You know what's going to happen? He's going to be like a dudes on a map gamer, isn't he? That's what
start somewhere. You got to start somewhere.
It's just funny that it's going to be kind of what I'm not into, but it's all good. It's all good. Okay. If I'm playing games, I'm drinking what? You all know mine would be turmeric latte.
Okay, so lately, okay, so there's been like I had like three different periods. I got my blue period when I was drinking wine. I got my red period when I'm drinking wine. I've got my. I'm pretty bland when it comes to that shit. It's either wine, water, or tea. I'm
Tea.
like,
I love
yeah,
your tea.
I love tea. I love
Half
wine.
sweet.
I unsweet at
Oh, have you gone
times.
full sweet? Oh,
No,
okay.
I don't go full sweet. I don't go full sweet. I go half sweet at best, so I can drink a lot more of it.
Yeah. I wonder how much caffeine is in that, like in a giant tea. It's probably quite a
I don't
bit.
know. Quite a bit. Quite a bit. Oh, you know what I found today? I
What?
found pumpkin spice tea.
Did you just say pumpkin? Did you say
Yeah,
pumpkin spice?
pumpkin,
Pumpkin
pumpkin
spice.
tea.
Pumpkin spice tea. Okay.
Yeah,
And
it
how was it?
smells. I haven't tried it yet.
Oh,
you got to make it yourself. It's
oh,
basically
okay.
black tea with pumpkin spice in it.
And you can make it cold or hot. It has to be hot
Well,
or cold.
you can have it hot. I don't know if you can have it cold. I'm sure it tastes fine cold, but
A lot
yeah,
of tea you can have cold.
yeah, it's black tea, so I'm sure I can have it cold. But yeah,
Yeah.
it smells like Christmas. It's so fucking good. It's so amazing. Very, very,
I
very
kind
good.
of feel like I would like pumpkin spice. I feel like that's something we could adopt here.
Yeah,
Maybe it'll happen.
it goes really well with avocado toast.
Yeah,
Really well.
for sure. Zoltan was
Yes.
saying to me this morning, he was like, we have Starbucks here, right? And I'm like, yeah, we have Starbucks in Australia. And he's like, but it's not really that big a deal. I'm like, no, we don't. We haven't really embraced it like the Americans have. And
I
he's like, yeah, it's a fail here. I'm like, well, I don't think it's a fail.
Well, I think here it's a standardized coffee. Like
Yeah, you know what you're getting, right? It's like
we
the
know what we're getting.
McDonald's. Like
Yeah,
it's
yeah, it's one of those economic
consistency.
consistency. Yeah. Oh, talking about consistency. I don't know why I want to talk about this. It has nothing to do with what we're talking about.
All right.
There's a restaurant here that started up, and the food was fucking amazing. It was very rich and fattening. It's American food, whatever, but it was
Yep.
so good. Then somebody else bought it, and
Ruined it.
well, if you're a server or if you bus tables, you have to wash the condiments and like the salt shakers and all that. None of that's washed, so it's greasy as shit.
Oh
There's grease
no,
on everything. It's so gross. And I
that
did
is
say
gross.
grease.
Grease. Other people's
It's
grease.
oh, it's so gross because you have this
That's yuck.
fattening food and it's going to be all over your fingers and it gets on the fucking salt and pepper. It's so disgusting. It is like, oh, it's gross.
Restaurants and stuff are way more gross than people realize.
Yeah,
Way
yeah,
more
totally,
gross.
totally, totally, totally.
Yeah,
Ugh.
because that takes me back to when I was doing that and I was working in a family restaurant, an Italian family restaurant, and I don't think anyone ever washed the parmesan like
Uh,
thing or the chili flakes
yeah,
thing. I don't
all
think
that
that
nasty.
ever. Yeah, I don't think so. And we like it would just get topped up constantly, like get topped up every
Yeah,
day. But did
topped up.
anyone actually
Yeah.
wash it? It's like, why don't we let it run out and then we can wash them all? No, no, it's anyway. That is a bit off topic, but yeah, I hope that's freaked everyone out. Never go to a restaurant; they're gross.
They're fucking
Okay,
gross.
I wish more games had like
Cubes.
cubes. What
Uh,
color?
I
What
don't
color
know.
cube?
I
Beige
wish
cubes.
more games had creativity, character. I like games with a lot of character. I don't like. Do you remember Russian Rails? Did you play Russian Railroads or whatever it was
Yeah,
called?
Russian railroads. Yeah.
Okay, like to me, that's the end of worker placement because there was nothing
That was
innovative
the
about
death.
it.
That was the death of worker placement.
That was like the end. Like that was the last one that could be done that was okay. Like, and I'm not saying it was great, but it was worker placement. I mean, it only takes 5 minutes to teach that game. Like,
Yeah.
okay, so this is worker placement. It works just like all the other worker placements. The difference is this is this other board where you're going along these tracks that are just straight lines, pretty much. So
I
I
don't
think
think
that
I
was it for me.
dislike. I don't think I dislike worker placement as much as you. 'Cause, I mean, it's essentially you're just choosing actions that way, right?
Right, right.
So
So
as long as the actions are exciting, isn't it fine? I don't know. It doesn't seem
okay,
that
so
bad.
let me put it another way.
Okay.
What is a game to you? Is it the theme? If it's the theme, well, yeah, that's perfectly fine to say worker placement is fine because I'm getting to my theme. If the game is mechanisms, that is one of the most hardcore part of the game is how are you choosing your actions? How do you do your actions? There's a reason why it's not just a list of actions on a sheet of paper that says, "Okay, here's what I want to do." It's a mechanism within the game. So they've stopped innovating. They said, "Okay, so this works. I'll just do that."
I disagree. I think you can still have a lot of different mechanisms in the game. I think it's more about, it can be more about resource management and it can be more about blocking people from doing the actions they want to do. But it's not really, it's not, is it a mechanism? I don't know. I really don't.
It's a
Like
mechanism.
you take barrage. Like I never really even think about it as a worker placement, but essentially that is what it is. And you have a whole bunch of, and that's still
Yeah,
amazing. And everything else is amazing in that game. Like the fact that
right.
you
Right,
things are tied up, the fact that the map is, I mean, the key is the map, right? I'm trying to get that right without
right,
people
right. There was
screwing
enough
you.
innovation in other places that I can look past worker placement. But also notice nobody ever sells it to you as a worker placement. They
No,
just say it's an
that's
amazing
right.
game, it's very tight. They don't say, "Oh, it's like there's this worker placement that's badass." I've never been
Yeah,
told that.
maybe that's right. Maybe you're right that it's, if it's the key mechanism, it's not very exciting. Hey, it's just putting something on a space. Like you said,
Right.
it could just be a sheet.
Yeah,
Here are the
sure. I could,
things you can do.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
okay, so if you look at coin games, coin games it comes down like one of the big defining factors besides you have asymmetry and you have people that are basically balanced on each other and everybody wins in a different way. I guess that's part of the asymmetry part. It's the action selection mechanism that goes along with the cards. Like before that, it was just you would just call it a card driven, but you can't call coin games necessarily card driven. There's something else card driven plus this other thing that helps you select actions. So I don't know. It's the heart of most games, and in Barrage, I guess it's not. It's cleverly not the heart of the game.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah,
And I
or
still think there
maybe for
is, I still think there's room for innovation within worker placement because, like, take Sulkin for example. That's pretty cool.
yeah, that's like 2000 what
That
2015.
was a long time ago.
Yeah, that
But
was
that
cool.
doesn't mean there isn't going
2015.
to be. That doesn't mean there isn't going to be a worker placement game that does worker placement that's so crazy that you're like, whoa! I've never placed workers like I can in this game.
True, but check this out. Whenever I think about designing a game, I don't think worker placement. I don't think anything at all. I just think let's come up with a way that how we're going to choose actions,
Yeah,
and it's starting like I can't think worker placement. I
I was
can't
about to
think.
say. I'm sure that you are like purposefully avoiding that though. So you're never going to come up with an innovative way to do worker placement because you're like specifically going, don't do worker placement, don't do worker placement.
Well, no, no, that's just what I'm saying. I don't think anything. I just think I don't think I never start a game and think I want okay, I want these things to happen. What's a good mechanism that I can be inspired by? It's either I'm inspired by a mechanism while in life, or I'm just like, oh, okay, so I need to do this thing. How do I want to do it? There's not. I I start off either with a completely blank sheet or a sheet that's filled in with something that inspired me. Like auto pets.
Yeah. You know what's funny though as well is that you've got kind of like your worker trilogy, or
Mm-hmm.
like you've got two worker games, but you're like not doing worker placement when actually it would make sense to do it because you're actually doing your games about
Yeah.
workers.
I used
Funny.
to have this fight with Lyndon all the time, and I would call. I call worker placement. I call it action drafting, and the reason
Yeah,
why is because it's action drafting. Worker placement is theme. So if your game's about workers and they're being placed and taking jobs, yeah,
that's
that's
the
worker
theme
placement.
thing.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
worker placement. Worker placement's theme. But if your
yeah,
game is action selection and there's no workers in it and you're blocking players, that's action drafting,
yeah,
to be
that's true.
technical. But
Yeah,
I know that we got a colloquial term for it, so it's all good. I get it. I
yeah.
just like to be a dick about it. And it doesn't work, so it's all good.
Okay. A theme I wouldn't touch is, I think, nothing. For you.
No, no. I wouldn't touch. Well, okay. I would touch anything that I could put my own spin on. I wouldn't touch sports.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe sports management was be all right, but I wouldn't do sports. I think sports, a game within a game, it's too meta even for me.
Yeah. So
I've played a couple.
it's not because you want to know about the thing more.
Yeah, I've played like a couple that were really good. Like there's this football game that plays like the video football game version, and it was really cool. But I wouldn't ever want to do that shit. And I would never sports. Yeah, definitely
Yeah.
sports.
Do you feel like to design a game about a thing that you really want to know, like how much do you want to know about it, about the theme first? Because obviously you don't want to design a game about something that you know next to nothing about. You want to feel like you know something about it, right?
Right, right. But then you don't want to. You want to be surprised. I think, and you don't want a foregone conclusion. Like, like for me, it would be hard to read a book about a specific theme, and then learn everything there is about it, because then you have to come up with alternative history if you want to make a game that's not a simulation or doesn't fall within these same things. So like I don't want to know I don't want to know everything. I just want to know the interesting part, and then enough that I can come up with alternative history that might be true that I don't know isn't true. If that makes
Right.
any sense.
Allow room for creativity, I guess,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
imagination, and
Yeah, so when we were talking about doing like the cost of bananas, and it started with conversation about slavery and in the banana industry and how that happened. Lyndon like went and bought like two or three books and he read them, and like he had all this knowledge about bananas and the history, and how that scared me. I was like, well, that's too much information, because now to do the amount of information justice, we're making a sim.
right.
Otherwise, we're not just framing a small specific part. But that's just me. I want to do as much as I know and then leave room for learning.
That's really interesting.
Yeah. But, it's just a different way to look at it, I guess. Oh. So how
Yeah.
about you? Let's turn
I
this
just
on you.
I mean, I don't know. I guess like it makes sense now that you've said that, and but like I can imagine thinking, and this might be because I get that imposter syndrome. I kind of feel like, oh, I want to be really knowledgeable about something before I tackle it. I guess maybe, but that just it makes a lot more sense not to be. You don't have to be. You're making a game. You're making your expression of that thing. You've been inspired by it only, right? Like,
Right.
yeah,
Right. Okay, so to always talk about the cost and try to sell more copies that don't exist, I think it's always good for me to be able to point to the way Canada did asbestos at that time period and what inspired the game to do that. But we don't go into legislation. We don't go into exactly what these things are. We don't go into how every country treated asbestos. We don't do any of it because, well, it's too much knowledge for one person to carry and try to dump it into a game. And the other is whenever I have a conversation with someone who knows about that industry or whatever, I want to listen. I don't necessarily want to do all the talking. I want to listen
yeah,
because that's part of why to do it is to have these conversations And I don't know if you're one of those people who is extra knowledgeable about a subject and you're talking. The moment that you get something wrong, you lose credibility more than
Yeah.
if you just listen. If you listen to the people who know, and
Yeah.
I think board games can do that. Like
Yeah.
they can make you over arrogant about a subject when there's just a lot of stuff to learn.
Yeah, I think that's true as well. And then it also like it becomes like an educational game, and then like you said, you really got to know your stuff then, and then I don't know,
Yeah,
is that as fun as like just interpreting it your own way, like you
I
can
think
with the cast? I don't know.
Dan Carlin put it the best. You know, the podcaster guy.
Hmm.
He's a fan of history. He's not a historian. Like I'm a
Right.
fan of these things. I'm not, a historian. I don't know how to research something fully. I couldn't go to
Mm.
the original documents. Like all my shit is second, third hand information that's been filtered through bias. So, you know,
Yeah.
I'm not the guy. I'm just trying to make a fun game that's interesting to me.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fair enough. Okay. So if you were looking for people to play games with, you would go.
To hell.
Good answer.
Um,
Next.
I'm I don't know. I'm pretty resourceful. If I don't have people to play with, okay, so I'm resourceful to a point. Like if I did have anybody to play with, I would go and stalk people at the board game store. I would,
Stalk them.
yeah, I would. Okay, so
But that's how you and Lyndon met anyway,
he stalked
right?
me. Yeah, he stalked me. Yeah, I walked out of a game store holding Dominion. It was I forgot what expansion it was, and he said the game's pretty cool, and I go, yeah, it's pretty cool. And then we started talking, and it started there because he's a really friendly guy, and I guess I'm starved for people to talk to. I just started talking back. But okay, so here's the secrets, and people don't do this. This is for educational purpose. Okay, so one, go to game stores, sit outside of game stores, see what people are buying, talk to those people. Two, go to BGG, find where people are at. Find you can do searches for area. I could put Lubbock, and I could put BGG, and it would put the people who have talked about Lubbock, and then I could email them people directly. I can find people also on their profiles that have Lubbock. I can go to Facebook and go into the groups and then put out, is anybody from Texas? And there's a lot of ways to stalk people. I'm not saying you should do it,
I was about
but
to say, but is that the people that you want to play with?
first, beggars can't be choosers. You have to start from somewhere. You have to get
Right.
yourself a pool of people, and then
Yeah.
whittle it down, or just don't care about who you're playing with. Because there has been times that I didn't have my favorite game group, but you
Yeah.
gotta smoke crack with somebody.
You got to
So
make do.
yeah,
Yeah.
so you gotta like um you eventually whittle it down to the people that you like, and then you separate into your own subgroup with those people, and then eventually y'all don't call the other people.
Oh my god, that's so funny because that literally happened to our game group.
Yeah, that's what that you got. You got
The
you got
founder was
done.
like, I found my people that I like now. And he split up the group and he's like, yep,
Yeah,
these people.
that's how you
And
do
we
it.
get,
That's
yeah. And I'm like, okay, what about the
well
rest of
in
us?
today's world, you can get a game group going,
Yeah.
and
There's a cool thing in Australia. It's got like a map and it has all of everyone's updating it. Every time there's a new group, it goes on there. And you can see it. It's a little map just with all the board game groups.
well
But I was
now
wondering
with
specifically the kind of people you wanted to game with. But you said
oh
it. You said you'd go to hell, so that makes sense.
right. Well, I mean, you can okay, with online gaming, you just find the people who like heavy game. Like I would find people that would talk about 18xx. I would get on board game Twitter, see like single out the podcast. Okay, so we're all little bitty people. Nobody's like famous and amazing. Like we're all just these little bitty people, except for
Little
if
bitty
you're
people.
unless you're in the Dice Tower or something. So you can write every person who has a podcast. You can write them directly. You can say, who do you play with? You can say, "Would you
Yeah.
play online games with me?" Or I really want to play this one game. Will you teach it to me? You can do all the things.
Yeah.
So it's like those people who go to a club and ask hit on everybody, and someone's gonna say yes at some point. Cast a wide net with just find people who have the traits that you want.
Yeah. That's funny. All right. Um, to get me to go to a game convention, it needs to have blah
Hmm.
unlimited tea, free tea.
Okay, so that it has to have my friends there. It would have been a better question for me. Not everybody. For me, it would have been like, what would it take for me to get you to go? And then I would say,
All right. Yeah.
pay
Okay.
for it. You pay for it. I'm there. If it's free, I'm there. Well, no, it's got to have a community of people who play heavy games,
Yeah.
or it's got to have people who are cool to hang out with that'll drink a beer and play, trick taking games or whatever,
Or dexterity games.
or dexterity games. As long as it's not hardcore into geek culture, because I'm a self hating geek and I don't want to be around myself.
Yeah. Fair enough. Okay. Your guilty pleasure board game.
All of them. I'm guilty. I'm guilty with all of them. I don't know. That's a good question. Okay, so like, is there a board game that you are ashamed or wouldn't tell like everybody? Like, like those jokes that are like, I wouldn't say this in front of mixed company, or here's this stupid movie I like, and I hope nobody knows about it, or only a few people know that I like this movie
Hocus Pocus.
because they would judge me. You like Hocus Pocus? I know some people who like that movie.
Really? Um,
Is there a board game like that you would be ashamed of, or not really
that I'm
ashamed of? You just
ashamed
wouldn't
of.
tell everybody.
Probably. Just trying to think what it is. Oh, what about Telestrations?
Yeah, I hate that game.
Guilty pleasure.
Do you actually like Telestrations?
I do. I actually like Telestrations. I'm terrible at drawing, and I think that just adds to the hilarity for everybody because, yeah, I draw worse than my 3-year-old daughter.
You see, with those things, I think that it always devolves into penises
That's not
and
true.
boobs.
That's
It
not
does
true.
in the crowds
Well,
I
that's
run
a
in.
you problem.
Yeah.
A
As
you
soon as,
problem.
of course, you start drawing boobs, and everyone's gonna start drawing boobs. No, it's I don't know. Um, I like Monopoly. I mean, that's guilty pleasure. I don't love it, but I like it. I'll play it for sure.
You would play it.
Yeah, I
You
don't
would
think it's
play
an
it above
amazing
other
game, but
things. Above other things, you would play
what's the other
it.
things? I'd play it
Everything
over.
else that's in the other room.
No, of course
No,
not. No.
no. But what? So your guilty pleasure is more like something you're actually like. Yeah, I
I
want to
don't
play
know if I
this.
have.
Deep down, I want to play this. I'm just waiting for somebody to ask me.
I don't think I have anything like that, to be honest with you. Everything is pretty out in the open. There's a lot of things I don't like, and I'm very vocal about it or like. So I don't know. I, maybe. What's that one game that everybody hates on from Fantasy Flight, where you go in a circle and you lightning bolts in the middle?
Oh, lightning bolts in the middle. Oh, not King of Tokyo.
No, 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 no. It's a long game. It's like a fantasy game where you basically you have a party and you're going around in this circle, and you go like you have the outer ring, and then you get to the middle ring.
Oh, is that Talisman? I've never
Yeah,
played it.
Talisman.
But
Talisman is a guilty pleasure. I would play Talisman over some other things. Talisman is
Okay.
fun. I
Okay.
mean, it's not much of a game. It's more of an experience of just sitting around with friends. I like the idea of having a party and having like dudes, and I like that
A
stuff.
dude party.
Yeah, dude party. Like having your dudes and like having swords and magicians and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. Like if I'm playing Mage Knight, I don't feel like I'm playing a fantasy game. I'm playing a
No.
math game.
Yeah. It's
So
way does your head in that game.
Talisman is more
The
of me
opposite of
dicking
that.
around. Yeah, it's the opposite of that.
Yeah, that
In
makes
almost every
sense.
sense. Yeah. So that's what it would be. And for you, it's Telestrations.
Illustrations. I do like Ghost Blitz too. Is that embarrassing? That's like a kid
I don't
game,
know.
I guess.
I don't like the fact
Well,
that it's real time.
when you're here, you're gonna have to play it. You know
No,
that.
it's real time. I'm down to play real time.
Zoltan's gonna make you play that game.
Well, if I
It's gonna be
play it,
hilarious too, because
I'll
compared to
just
me and
fail.
Zoltan, yeah, you're gonna fail so hard. It's gonna be
I,
funny.
I don't do real time.
All right.
I'm too slow. I got freaking giant arms that take forever to move across the table. I'm like, ah! You just see me
Like
going
we're
in slow
playing with a
motion.
giant.
Yeah, you're like moving your hands all fast, and I'm like this slow, like a slow mech. Just, ah!
Momec.
Yeah.
All right. There is a war going on between people who like blah and blah. You and people who like Catan. No, people who say they don't like Catan, I mean.
I think there's a war going on between. Uh, okay, so for me, there's a difference between the casual gamer who wants to have a good time and the person who finds a good time in the competition. Like I've seen people
Yeah.
that are really like, I don't like, trash talking. We're
Yeah.
just here to have a good time. And if there is not trash talking at a board game, for me, it's not as fun for sure.
Yeah. It's a little bit too square. It's a little bit
Yeah,
too
I like
stuffy.
that. I'm part reason why I play board games is to have those competitions. I like to have competition. I'm very
Yeah.
competitive, so it's fun. And if you take that out, we can just sit around and not play games and have fun.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Maybe
I
that's my
kind of
own like personal war.
no, it makes a lot of sense, and like you can't really judge that before you play, and I know that playing with strangers that can be a bit of a funny space because you might tease someone a little bit or say something, and then they might be like, "I can't believe you said that to me." Like I'm just remembering that thing that I already told you about
Yeah,
when I
yeah,
played Golem, and I think maybe I hurt someone's feelings. I didn't mean to.
yeah. Well, okay, so like take that into account along with if you have problems with playing with people who are there just to have fun and really don't care about the game, they're ruining the game. But does that make you a gatekeeper or a person who's not welcoming? You're not being an ambassador for board games because now you're fucking somebody else's fun up because you want to have this other kind of fun.
Yeah, that's a really tricky one because I'm like you're both ruining each other's fun. It's not like one person's ruining. It's like a double
Yeah,
because
but I'm the
someone
only one
being
that
too
matters.
stuffy is getting right, right. So there's a war going on between Mo and just everybody else.
Yeah,
Okay, good.
like okay, so if someone's new to board games and they want to sit there and have fun and they see this new thing to hang out with your friends and you're being a total dick and like making fun of them
Like,
and
what'd you do that for? That was dumb. Yeah, all that
yeah,
stuff. Yeah,
yeah, you're kind of pushing them out of the scene. I don't see a
yeah.
problem with it. I'll push everybody out of the scene. Get the hell out of here.
Get out of my scene.
Like I'm not doing it because of, you know, I'm not being a bigot or anything. I just don't like you. Doesn't matter what color you are. Doesn't matter what you're into. You're here to have a fun time, and my fun is different, and
Yeah.
that's it. Just my fun's a little different. I don't know how to have fun. I was dropped on the head as a child, and I don't know how to.
It can
What
be
is?
really tricky. I think it can be a really tricky thing,
Oh,
actually,
definitely, definitely.
that whole thing. That's why it's good to have your own group, right?
Yeah,
Your own game
that's
group.
why.
You know
That's
how far
why.
you can push them before someone's going to crack the shits.
Oh no, it's amazing when you can get under somebody's skin that is your friend that you've gone too far. That's fun in your own game group.
Yeah.
I remember my roommate. Oh my god, we were playing Dominion,
Yeah.
and we were so competitive at Dominion that oh man, he got under my skin. I was getting pissed
Really?
at him. Yeah,
Oh, that's funny. I can't
yeah.
even imagine you actually getting
Oh man, I was
worked
pissed at
up
him.
for
Yeah,
real.
I was really pissed off.
Give me an example. What did he say or do that pissed you off?
Okay, so we were playing Dominion every night for like a month straight, playing like
Yeah.
2 3 hours a night.
You're on
It
a
was something
Dominion
like,
bender.
yeah, we were dude hardcore in Dominion. This was like Seaside had just come out, so we were playing like fuck tons of Seaside, and I don't know. He had this. He had if these certain cards were out, he played this certain combo every time. And I guess the
Right.
repetitiveness of it just got to me, and I'm like, dude, why the fuck don't you play something different? I'm sick and tired of seeing that same shit. And he's like,
You're like, I'm sick and tired of being beaten by the same strategy. That's the truth. Beat me
maybe,
with a
I don't
different
know.
strategy.
Yeah, beat me with a different strategy. And he was so happy. Maybe so much more pissed. He was so happy. He's like, I got under your skin. That means I'm doing something right. I was like, you son
Yeah,
of a bitch. Fuck you.
that's funny. All right, this is kind of a weird question. Okay, it was getting later as I was writing this. It's getting later and later into the night. You wake up on the hype train and you get off at what station?
I don't ever get on the
I don't
hype
even
train.
know.
That's a
You would,
fucked up
no,
question.
but what if you were? What if someone got you drunk and put you on the hype train?
Oh, man. Okay. When I get on the hype train, it is about some. Okay, so my venture into 18xx was that. Like, I just,
Okay.
like. Okay, so at first, there was all this hype about 18xx being difficult, and I wondered if I had the mental capacity to play them. Like,
Yeah.
it was all just bullshit. It was just overhyped as being difficult. So when we finally
Yeah.
played one, I was like, oh my God, this is fun. This is amazing. This is not that difficult.
Yeah.
And like once you learn one really well, the rest are not that bad. So then I
Yeah.
decided, I was like, I would love to just play 18xx. And I'm trying to convince Lyndon and Brian, let's just play 18xx all the time when we get together on the weekends.
Yeah.
They didn't
But
go
they
for it.
don't wanna.
Yeah, well, we did it for like a month or two, and then more Kickstarters started coming in for Linden, so we started doing it. So like for me, it's just like I get on a hype train about something like that, or playing Age of Steam, or something not about buying something necessarily.
Yeah.
It's just I'll get
I
into some systems,
I think this
but
question. I think this question, like, it was in my head because I was thinking, like, sometimes I do get like caught up. Like, for
sometimes,
example,
only sometimes. Come on now.
stop, stop. Like the Endless Winter game, for example. I
Yeah.
bought that. I don't know why I'm looking around, like looking around. Is anyone listening to this? Endless Winter, I got on that hype train. Unfortunately, I didn't get off
Mm.
at any station. But I think sometimes you get on the hype train and you're like, oh yeah, this does look good. And then you can get off because something happens and you're like, oh no, this isn't for me. I don't want any of this now. Has
Like,
that ever happened to you? You've been like, oh, this
uh,
looks really good. And then you've been like, oh, no, no, no. Abort, abort.
yes, except I don't go to the point where everybody else doesn't purchase it. I'm still in the research phases when that happens. Like I was really interested in Flamecraft. I kept asking everybody about it, and then finally somebody said to me
Why?
that you
Because
were
it's cute. You have this funny thing. You have
no,
this.
no,
Yes,
shut your mouth. You know what I'm talking about.
yes. Like
No,
video
no,
games are like all cutesy and stuff. You saw those little dragons and you were like, that is adorable.
adorable dragons. I love baby
Adorable.
dragons. I don't know what it was. Something caught my eye, and I'm like, I wonder if this is any
That's what it
good.
was.
And I
Yeah.
kept asking, and then finally, one of the train rush dudes, I think it was Craig, said, "It's like water deep," and that was it. I was done. I don't
You
need
were
to
off
fucking
at that stop. You were
that
like,
stop. But
boom.
I'm always in the research phase. Like I rarely buy games anyway. I'm still on the what that pink game. I'm still on
What
the hype
pink
train for
game?
that. The
Crash
dexterity.
Octopus.
Yeah,
Crash
I'm still on the
Octopus.
hype train for
Yeah.
that.
It's right
How can I
there.
not
It's
like
on
it?
that chair.
How? Yeah, I want to reach over and grab it.
All right.
So you get off
We're coming to the end.
at
I would get
winter,
off.
endless
Well,
winter,
yeah. At this winter.
or when it gets
Yeah,
delivered, that's when you're off the hype train.
no, I sometimes find myself on the hype train, but I think there's like a level where it's just too much, and if I can abort, I will.
Okay.
Like Nova Luna, for example. No, not Nova Luna, sorry. The other one, Arc Nova, that
Mm-hmm.
one. Like, I was like, oh, I like animals. Zoo tycoon thing seems kind of cool. This seems kind of cool, blah, blah, blah. And then it was just like, no, this cannot, the amount of hype is just, there's no way it's ever living up to this. This is crazy.
Okay,
And I
so
came way off that, I got way off that train.
what if I see like a dual personality Sarah? Like I see this person who loves
Right.
games and who
Yeah.
thinks she is on the same level as the other people that are on her podcast, the other people that are playing games around her, but there's this other Sarah who likes beige. So
Yeah.
the beige never turns you down. It's like whenever you get one of these beige games,
Yeah.
they deliver. You might not be able to find anybody to play with you, but they deliver.
That is a problem, though.
Yeah,
Not being able to.
okay. And then when you're on the other Sarah, though, I'm hanging out with my friend Sarah. You're playing these games that go up and down as far as likability. Like they're really good the first time you play them, and then they start losing the luster. And it's good for the other people because they're on to the next Kickstarter. But you, who bought this game, you have to deal with you own this game that isn't shiny anymore. The
Yeah,
cellophane
I'm
is
stuck
off,
with this. I had
and
one
it's
play with my friends with it before they all left,
and it's not
and now
beige,
I'm alone with this
and it's
game
all alone
that I don't want.
and start time to buy trying to let in some cats so you can be a cat lady sitting around
Like,
with your games
teach
that no
my
one will play with you.
cats to play Endless Winter with
I
me.
don't know. Is that insulting to say that you're like two people? Like to me, I see you as two people. The person who likes really like to me, you like really good games, and then you like other
Really,
games.
she was.
Other games. I said other games, and you play your other games
It
with your
wasn't that
friends.
insulting until now.
And then you play these other games, and you're up and down with whether you like them or not. But the games that you like that I consider the beige games, the dry
Yeah,
games, the ones that
try
deliver,
games.
or maybe say you don't get to play them enough to know that you don't like them as much. I don't know.
No, I don't think it's really. There's two of me. I don't think it's like a antisocial thing or anything. I think it's more there are certain. I think it goes back to that guilty pleasures thing again. There are certain guilty pleasures that I like. I hear and I'm like, oh, that sounds pretty good. Like I love deck building. I can't help it. If I hear deck building and I'm like getting on the hype train,
That's
it's like
weird.
you. It's like you with your, dating sims,
The more dating, the better. I get to
right?
date. Amazing.
Right. Yeah. So it's kind of that. It's kind of like having to try. There's like kind of have to try all the deck building things.
Mm.
It's pretty sad, and I definitely don't. I definitely don't need to try all the deck building games, but there's a part in me that wants to. Anyway,
The deck building. I was gonna say date building. Thinking
deck
about
building.
dating right now.
And I already know the answer to the last one
Oh really?
because the last question is my creative flow is at its peak in the morning, at night, when fully caffeinated. This is multiple choice with no more than one glass of red wine, in the shower, and just before I fall asleep, and when I'm driving and when I can't find a pen.
When I'm hammered. two
There's
bottles of
no
wine.
none
Yeah,
of those
that's
are
it.
right.
Yeah, it's just 2 bottles of wine any time of the day.
It's the shower. I know
Yeah.
it.
Well, okay.
It's the
Am I
water.
okay? So,
You
am I
need
the most
you need the
creative?
wetness.
It's all about the wetness. Am I the most creative when I'm coming up with these stupid ideas? Or am I the most creative when I'm actually sitting there behind the game trying to make it work? So that is
I
more the
only you
question.
know. Only you
Yeah, but
know.
that to me that's the real question that I have to ask
Yeah.
myself. Like I am definitely brainstorming like a mofo when I take a shower in the morning and trying
Yeah.
to just come up with these stupid ideas, but I don't know if I am the most creative. I'm definitely not the most productive because those
Yeah.
ideas usually to go nowhere. I've got a list of ideas that even today, more ideas, more and more ideas,
All
more
the
ideas I
time.
want to do, like the mystery meat idea. That's on the back burner.
Mystery meat. Yeah, yeah.
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 So I don't know.
I think mine's definitely the last one.
What's that? What was the last
In,
one?
in the last one is in the shower and just before I fall asleep and when I'm driving and when I can't find a pen. It's
Mm.
all of those times. It's all of the most inconvenient times that I'll get an
Uh,
idea. It's never at a convenient time ever.
I
And I'm
usually
about
don't.
to have this holiday from uni, and I bet it'll be like really hard to be creative when like the last 2 weeks I've been like, oh god, I'm so desperate to like sit down and design some stuff.
Well, I think though it's important not to be a slave to the muse.
Mm.
Like you have to set aside a time, and you are going to be creative during that time.
Yeah,
And let's say you can't come up with an idea about a specific thing. Well, then you have to be creative about something else. You've got to find something to be creative. Personally, I can't say that I'm ever creative before I go to sleep because if I am, I won't go to sleep. Like
yeah,
like
it's a
it's
problem.
yeah, it'll dopamine will hit me. I'll get up and
Hmm.
I'll go to the computer and I'll start working on it.
Yeah,
So I don't come up with ideas before I go to sleep. I try not to think about them. Otherwise, I won't sleep.
yeah, it's a
And it's
wise
I don't
choice.
yeah, and I don't write shit down, so I don't have to worry about not having a pen. So I don't write it down.
Yeah, I have to. I don't remember anything.
Well, I live with that stupid idea that ideas are a dime a dozen. I live with that philosophy. Ideas are a dime a dozen. The problem is not the ideas. The problem
No, you're
is
right.
working on stuff. Sit
Yeah,
down, working, doing the hard work. That's the problem.
making the ideas actually work.
Yeah, yeah. And then if you can look at it like ideas are nothing. Not, I wouldn't call them nothing, but ideas are not as important as people make them out to be.
Mm.
Then you can throw them away when they don't work, and you can come up with new ones. Because you don't want to be sold on an idea so much so that you're wasting your time working on something that you know doesn't work, and you know you
Yeah,
can come up with something better, or you don't know, but just trust yourself. Just let it go. Fuck it. Come up with something else. It's
yeah.
not the end of the world either, you know.
I think that's true. I think people do put too much emphasis on the idea.
Yeah, and there's not enough praise for the work. The work in
Yeah,
between the idea and publishing, all that work, that's where the praise should be because that's the hard stuff. That's where you're free falling. You don't know where this is going to go.
right. And then some people will be like, oh, they'll play a game that's simple but deep or whatever, and they'll be like, oh, I could have come up with this. I could have come up with this idea, and it's like, but you couldn't have done all the other stuff,
Right,
probably.
right. That's interesting. If people think that way, I don't feel like that ever. Like I've never felt like I could have came up with that. I always feel like, oh, that was clever. You
Yeah,
know, I'm like, oh, that was pretty clever, and the people around me are like, that's not that clever. And then like Lyndon will say, your stuff is way more deeper than that, or way more clever than that, or way more strange than that. And I was like, I don't see it, dude, but that was really cool. That was interesting. Even
mm,
if the game is bad, this is really cool. And I never think everybody expresses things differently. So I would
yeah,
say that like whenever you look at a game, I couldn't I couldn't come up with it. I couldn't come up with
yeah,
somebody else's thing.
yeah.
So
I feel the same way, I think.
yeah, I can't wait to see where you go with yours. And of course, I'll
Mm,
be there to help you, and maybe I'll be part of the project. But I just can't wait to see what happens. I think it'd be really interesting.
imposter syndrome kicking in right now.
I don't know. Everybody has that. You know that everybody has it. Everybody has
Yeah.
imposter syndrome. You just have to fake it till you make it.
Yeah. You're probably right.
Oh, with Corrupt City, you say like you're very vocal. You know what you feel it should be done. As long as you treat your game that exact same way, you're going to have an expression that is yours.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true. I won't have you to
To tell you
say
no.
no to my stuff. Yeah. It's funny. Anyway, that went really well. Thanks for answering all my questions. You're like my guinea pig
I'm a
because they're
guinea
going to be
pig.
my kit. Well, they're going to be
That's
my questions now.
um.
Rate my
Well,
questions. Rate my questions.
there
You
was a
can only
couple on
use three
there.
numbers: 7, 8, and 9.
Most of them are C. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my god, you are the worst.
I don't know about that hype train question. That one's tough because on the hype train question, I have to question what do you mean? What are you talking about?
Uh,
But maybe that's just me. That might be a Moe thing.
that's
You have
just
to.
you. You got to interpret it how you want. Interpret it how you want, and then answer it accordingly. I don't even know what that question means.
Dude, you're like, I'm keeping it though because it's
I'm
so
keeping it.
good.
I like it.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, it'll inspire questions like, "What are you talking about, lady? What's this hype train you're talking about? I've never
What
seen it."
is this? Yeah. Well,
Well,
that
is
was
that
fun.
that was fun. That was interesting. I feel like I did a lot of talking, which is bad.
No, it's good. You
I,
said
I
some
can
good
I
things.
can only make things worse by talking.
Yes, I
Like
often do.
it's easy to get canceled if you're talking. If you're not talking, it's not so easy to get canceled.
Yeah.
Sure.
If you don't open your mouth, you can't shove your foot right in
Yeah.
there. Yeah. No, I
So
thought it was interesting. I
thanks for
liked what
giving
you
me the
said.
opportunity to fail.
You're welcome. I'm always doing that, babe. That's what I'm
Yeah.
here for.
Yeah. Here. How can you screw this up?
Giving you
Here
so
you
many
go.
opportunities to fail.
Um, I'm failing more than I usually fail. That's kind of sad.
Speaking of failing, would you like to play some Played Up?
Yeah, sure. Cool. Sounds good. I was kind of wanting to date, but
Oh, you
the
want to go sim dating?
potion.
Fair
Would you
enough.
call it? Potion erotica or
Potion erotica. Yeah.
erotica potion? Cool. Yeah, that would be cool.
All
Let
right.
me go ahead and figure out how to turn this
Turn
damn
this
thing
thing
off.
off.
Turn this damn thing off.
God,
Can I say that?
damn thing. Goddamn thing.
Goddamn thing off. Cool. All right. Here we go, and we're out.